It's on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities.
Whoa, lowest in U.S. history? That's incredible cash or credit. I'm guessing it's all Donald Trump's fault, or maybe it's a trend that started in 1991 that spiked during Trump's first term again, right there, boing, and then came down again under Biden. Mr. Hankey, come look at this. Come listen to him. He's short, he's brown, he's got the crazy eyes, and he's full of shit. That's Mr. Hankey right there. They're all in the most peaceful time in American history. And do you know why, people? Do you know why it's so peaceful? Because no one's looking into those Epstein files. Howdy ho, Kyle. Sure be a shame if Mr. Hankey destroyed Trump's narrative right before Trump got on stage.
Just to conclude, Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, most beautiful places anywhere in the world. It was years ago. We had one problem that was a pretty big problem. The radical left got out of control and they started trying to rip down statues. And I said, let's go pass a law real fast. We're going to do it real fast, but we were blocked by the Democrats who do not want safety.
Washington, D.C., it was the radical left who were tearing down statues. It was the radical left who swiped that podium. It was the radical left who bashed in the windows with baseball bats. Washington, D.C. is such a dangerous place. I had to pardon all of these people on like my first week back in, right? Look at Trump. Over his right shoulder, he has the Secretary of Defense. Over his left shoulder, he has the head of the DOJ. You ever seen anything like this in American politics before? Are we at war with Washington, D.C. right now? I know they want Canada to be the 51st state, but they definitely don't want Washington, D.C. to be the 51st state. But to me, as a scholar of history, this just looks like the staging of a poster shoot for like a mini-me Mussolini. God, try to say that 5 times fast. Is this a national treasure scenario where Pam Bondi has to steal the Declaration of Independence, put a lantern in somewhere in the mausoleum, and then the Epstein files come out? I don't know. It's been a long time since I saw that movie, but is that what's going on here? Because this right here is how very small dictators present themselves in public, right? They have their generals behind them. They have their prosecutors behind them as a show of force because they have that small dick energy. So they can't just have a show of force by talking. And to be honest with you, I wish we could just kick it off in full force so we could go through it. Because the people that follow this man, the only people smaller than this man, the only people I respect less than Donald Trump are the ones that follow him. These are very small people. They're brainless losers. So if we could just speed run it, that way I don't have to live in a fascist government when I'm an old man. Let's just run through it, get to the ending. Give him the full Mussolini. I mean, just look at him over here. They even let the drunk. I mean, there's 2 drunks, let's be honest. But they let old Jean Pirro get in there. Cash Patel, look at that face on him. Even Cash Patel knows that this is ridiculous. He's looking like he dropped an even smaller hanky in those pants right there.
And that we will deliver like nobody's ever delivered before. I actually think it's easy. You know, if you're competent, it's easy. If you're incompetent, it's impossible. But I'm very competent.
I'm very competent, he says. Here's a rule of thumb to the chuds out there. If someone, the guy at 7-Eleven, your mechanic, your electrician, or the President of the United States has to end his sentence by telling you that he's competent, I'm super competent.
I am competent.
Or don't worry about those brakes I just installed on your car. I'm super competent. I'm super competent here. Why would you have to tell me that? Should it just be assumed that if you're the President of the United States, if you're a mechanic putting on brakes, you're competent? And now let's hear from some people that are actually competent. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable to data breaches of brokers. Go to my sponsor today, right here, Aura.com. Type in the Chud Report, and you will get a 14-day free trial to see if your data has been exposed. Have you ever Googled yourself? Your information is everywhere. It's just sitting there waiting for criminals. And now this administration is speeding up that process. They're forcing states to turn over every single piece of private information about you so they can give it to shady political operatives. Trusting oligarchs to protect your passwords led to Google, Amazon, Facebook, and 16 billion, that's billion with a B, passwords all leaked. Your data has never been more vulnerable than during this administration, than today, than right now. If you want someone to watch your back, if you want someone competent, if you want someone who thinks your data problems matter, you need Aura today. You probably needed it yesterday. You probably needed it a month ago. You might have needed it a year ago. Aura monitors the dark web 24/7 and alerts me instantly when my personal information is exposed. If someone tries to open a credit card or a bank account in my name, Aura notifies me right away. It's not buried in some email. From outright malicious attacks to constant scam calls, Aura has never been more critical. They'll even hunt down these data brokers selling your information. They'll file opt-out requests for you, slashing off these scams before they start. I get this report every day. They show me all the lists they've got me off of. And listen to this. Aura is so confident in their protection, they offer up to $5 million. What? In identity theft insurance if the worst ever happens. Give Aura just a couple weeks and you'll stop seeing your info plastered all over these sketchy sites, which means less spam, less risk, more peace of mind. And make sure you go to my link here and say the Chud Report sent you, so your favorite podcaster gets credit. And you'll get to try 14 days for free, zero money. That'll be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. And now let's get back to the people exposing that data. Do competent people bankrupt casinos? Literally a legal way to print money? Is that what competent people do? Don't worry, I'm super competent. And judging by the footage coming out of Vegas, judging by what my mom's telling me, nobody's there. Nobody's in Vegas. I'm super competent. My tariffs, right? Now this guy who not only bankrupted his own casino somehow, now he's bankrupting all casinos. I mean, come on.
This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday.
Wait.
I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was.
Donald Trump is meeting with Putin in Alaska. Now, where did he say he was going?
I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia.
He's going to Russia. Has Mr. Dealmaker already gave Alaska back to Russia? Fox News went insane when Joe Biden tripped over a sandbag. He's losing it. The dementia's kicking in. And I'm sure the chuds will say, oh, he just messed up. He just misspoke. Come on, don't make a big thing about it. The guy who's going to talk to Putin. He's been played by Putin 10 times to this point, 12 times to this point. He's going to talk to him about dividing up land from Ukraine and Russia. He's going into that not even knowing that Alaska is in the United States or misspeaking on it, not even being trained or prepared enough to come out with that kind of force, knowing what he's going to say. He fumbles because he's so happy. I can't deal with all this. I get to go to Russia to see Putin. Pathetic.
And it's embarrassing for me to be up here.
I agree completely, Donnie. It is embarrassing that you're up there. But you not knowing where you're at, not knowing how to lead from second to second, is only the beginning of your embarrassment. And that's what today's episode is about. Donald Trump having a secret military police, because it's not going to stop in DC. If it's your first time here, you end up liking this video, make sure you hit subscribe. If I pass out halfway through the video, it's because sometimes I try to be fancy. Sometimes I try to put a green screen up behind the dog over there. Good thing the dog wasn't in here. The green screen fell down, hit my head, took out a coffee, broke my mouse, broke a light, but I'm still here. So let's get into the show. Let's see if you recognize any of these states with the top murder rates. Mississippi, Louisiana, Kentucky, Alabama, Missouri, old South Carolina. I wonder what Lindsey Graham's been up to. Oh, look, and then we finally hit a blue state, New Mexico. Georgia's no longer a blue state, so you don't even count anymore, Georgia. Arkansas, and then Tennessee. For every 100,000 residents in Mississippi, there's 20 and a half homicides. I don't see California on this list. It's easier to get killed in Mississippi than to get a 4th grade education. All these southern states right here. But is he going after any of those? Nah, right here.
Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it.
Roving gangs of violent youth. What planet do these scared chicken shits who believe this live on? You weren't in D.C., Donald Trump. The roving gangs of violent youth. You were at a Taylor Swift concert, my friend. Roving gangs of violent youth. Sounds like a pretty dope punk name band. And 2 months ago, what was it?
No, Eddie's very talented. Crime is down in Washington, D.C. Street crime, violent crime by 25%. And people have seen, they've noticed a big difference.
Apparently you didn't notice it. From what I'm hearing from the other podcasters, it seems to think that they think this is just a distraction, right? Him sending troops to D.C. I'm just asking you, a distraction from what? From Epstein? 47% of Republicans will still vote for Trump, even if implicated in Epstein's crimes, right? And then you take 26% that are like, I don't know. So that's a yes, because if you say I don't know, that's definitely a yes. So that's a 73% of his followers, of Republicans, that will still vote for him, even if he's implicated in this ring. And if I had to guess, the percentages are more like
1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500%.
Yeah, 1,500% of Republicans, if I'm guessing. So maybe think twice before inviting Uncle MAGA Jason to Kylie's little 14th birthday party, because that hat might be a better indicator than any registry there is. So I completely disagree with the premise that this is any kind of distraction. This isn't classic Coke. This isn't the classic neocon sleight of hand. Look over there. Look at this culture war. Get mad. Get mad about Bud Light. While you're screaming about trans beer cans, you know, they're quietly draining your wallet to the billionaires. I don't think that's what this is, because I recognize what that is, because I've been looking at that for most of my life, for my entire life from the Republicans. This is something else. This is a blatant police state fascist move that we've been talking about on this channel from the start. Back when Bill Kristol and Tim Miller were still Republicans, back when they were still supporting all this. Trump has wanted this raw power his entire political life. I mean, he had some guardrails on him the first term, right? But those are all gone because he got Mr. Hankey. I just want you to picture that D- loser from your school. Wasn't ever going anywhere, right? Maybe a little on the shorter side for a guy. I want you to picture him. And I would say probably a 90% chance that guy stayed in that small town, if you're from a small town like me, maybe even a city, and he became a cop. Donald Trump is that loser on a national scale. He was always rejected by high society that he so desperately wanted to be a part of, right? That's why he jumped over to the Republicans. He knew he could trick Cletus in the trailer. The ability to put boots on the ground in an American city, that's what he's asking for, to bypass local government. That does not seem like a distraction to me. That seems like the pie. This isn't red meat to the base. This is operational. The red meat to the base would be him releasing those files, right? But he can't do that for obvious reasons. So this is very operational. This is Project 2025's wish list. Remember when we were talking about that in the good old days when, you know, people on this channel would yell at me for saying, what, Kamala instead of Kamala. You guys were like, hey, you gotta say her name right. And we were trying to warn everybody about this, but you were so pedantic about getting that name right. This is on that checklist. Distraction is definitely not federalizing a police force on trumped up claims, sending in military under the thinnest legal cover. This is not a distraction. It's the exact opposite. He's normalizing it. He's normalizing authoritarian control. This is about to come to a city near you. He doesn't want to detract from this. He wants his supporters to get on board.
And then if I can, the D.C. action real quick. The president said yesterday that this is a model federalizing the National Guard that
there you go.
could be used to combat really high rates of crime in other cities like Chicago, L.A., Baltimore.
What's the
what
trad
sort
wife
of authority
have to say?
would he have to deploy forces like that, absent the Home Rule Act?
Look, the president is speaking about what he'd like to see take place in other cities around the country. Right now, this administration is focused on making D.C. safe and beautiful again. When the time comes, we'll talk about that. But I will note that the president wants to see all of our nation's cities be safe.
All of our
but I
nation's
think
cities.
starting with our nation's capital is a great place to begin, and it should serve as a model for the rest of the country.
Unless you're in Mississippi or Alabama. This is the model, she says. This is the police state. And not to sound like an accelerationist, but there's a giant part of me that just says, get it over with, right? Let's just go through it. Let's speed run it. Remember the states' rights people? The don't step on snack people? You know, it's at this point when you think about who they are that you realize all of them were cowards. They were just LARPing. One of my best friends in Utah, his dad has been stocking up on weapons since the Clinton era, just getting ready for it to pop off. But as the military starts moving into U.S. cities to take them over, he puts on that stupid MAGA cap, right? Because he was never real. They were never really about liberty. They wanted a king. They just wanted a king who was wearing their jersey.
He's got the guts to say, I'm going to federalize the police that don't work.
Guts.
I'm going to bring in the National Guard. I'm going to bring in federal marshals. I'm going to bring in the park police.
How long will
we're going
that
to control
be?
the.
How
who
long
knows? How long? What is the?
Well, it costs money, right?
Sure, it does.
It costs money, and the question is, are you there for a year? Are you there for 6 months? And when the troops pull out, what happens?
I would call this conditions-based. I would say it's a situation where we're here to support law enforcement.
Amazing! A drunk in an alley once tried to sell me a coonskin hat that he had made out of a giant rat. And I gotta tell you, that drunk in the alley with the rat coonskin hat had more salesmanship than this drunk on Fox News, man. Remember when Pete Hegseth promised? He's like, if you make me the defense secretary, I promise I'll quit drinking, but only if you only do that to me. Promise made, promise broke. And it's even more pathetic because Laura Ingraham here is throwing him slower balls than a special ed t-ball team. And he still can't hit them. Here's my Laura Ingraham impression because she still has that mustache. She kind of talks like Skeletor too. I got you where I want you now, He-Man. How much is it gonna cost, Pete? What do I look like, Laura? I'm only the defense secretary. Talking about bringing troops into literal U.S. cities. I'm only that guy. You expect me to have a plan? You expect us to ever leave these democratic, these blue cities once we're there? You see, what Pete wants to say is we have to get into those cities before these midterm elections. Just in case somehow our Texas fascistic strategy doesn't work. We need these troops, these federal troops, because you know this is the end game. People are calling this a distraction. Are you kidding me? We need the chaos while people are trying to vote in blue cities, in blue states. What's that list again? Put that list up. Mississippi. You think Pete's sending people to Mississippi? The most crime-ridden state in our nation? You think he's gonna send some people down to Louisiana? Mike Johnson's home, the Speaker of the House, has the second most violent place in this country. You think they're gonna show up there? Kentucky? Rand Paul? You think they're gonna show up in Rand Paul? He'll pull out his little Gadsden flag, I'll tell you that. Alabama? You think anyone's going to stomp in this trad wife's district? Huh? Missouri? Who's even from Missouri? All right, I was on a roll there. South Carolina? Lindsey Graham? You think the troops are going to be rolling into those states trying to fix them up? No, Laura. Where did Trump want to go?
But when I look at Chicago and I look at L.A., if we didn't go to L.A. 3 months ago, L.A. would be burning like the part that didn't burn.
Right.
If you would have allowed the water to come down, which I told them about in my first term, I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into L.A. They still didn't want it to come down after the fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully...
Does Sundowny Grandpa think that he released the water for the fires to get rid of the protesters in Los Angeles now? And this is why I say people that watch this filth and believe it are the most chicken shit people in this country, right? That was one block in Los Angeles. I live here. I live in L.A. How'd you lose your arm, Grandpa? In the great L.A. protest that lasted a week on a single block. That's not a very good prop. I don't know. I probably could have done better than that for a lost arm. Oh my God, he has an arm. Donald Trump sent those troops here because he wanted violence and he wanted that on camera. He didn't want safety. And apparently now he thinks he released water for the protests, right? He wanted boots next to squad cars, helicopters overhead recording it all. That's the poster. That's the power fantasy. Get that image and sell it back to these terrified suburbanites who think Hollywood Boulevard was Fallujah, right? Because the guy in the Spider-Man suit asked them for $5. It was one block, a block I never even go down. It was all to get that image because that's the world Donald Trump's from, like this, right? Kind of weird that while all this was going on, this is the conspiracy channel. This is the conspiracy channel. But it is kind of weird. He goes to get the photographers right now. While there's an act. We love you. We love you. We're from Mississippi. He goes to get the photographers. Trump's guy. They were waiting over there in the corner, right? Now watch this. Not only does he put them in the perfect place, they lower the flag into position for that. This is the conspiracy channel. I'm just saying he's a president that comes from media. You know what I mean? Once again, only 3 conspiracies on this channel, right? Avril Lavigne is not the real Avril Lavigne. All the documents, probably some Epstein ones or an Ivanka's casket. And probably that right there, all right? It's not a conspiracy channel. But Donald Trump, in his mind, sees stuff because that's where he's from. He's not from billionaire. He was a broke billionaire when he came to NBC. He's from the media world. He's from the reality TV world. I'm not co-signing on that video. I've just had it on my phone for a while. And I want to see what you guys think in the comments, all right? But this channel, I'm either way. I'm staying neutral. They are not sending soldiers to where the per capita murder rates are actually worse, right? They're not going to Mississippi. They're sending soldiers here to Los Angeles. But you know what's accompanying the soldiers? Camera crews, just waiting for something to happen because this is not about crime. Spoiler alert, the felon president doesn't actually want to end crime. The guy who pardoned all these people on the first week he was in there. This is about control, and it's about using that media to control it. He wasn't a billionaire. He was bankrupt by the time NBC picked up his program. He needed that to survive. He's a media. He's a reality TV media. It's how he thinks. It's all public theater, but in this instance, it's public theater to cover up a literal KGB on the streets disappearing people.
We're not going to have National Guardsmen sitting there like this, seeing a crime committed and not do something about it. You can help somebody, interdict.
How about I interdict your face, you smarmy son of a bitch? The Chud Report. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. You want to support this channel, make sure you check out Aura. Probably going to have to buy a new light, a new mouse, a new brain from what it hit. You want to support this channel even more? Become a member. It's like $3. We'll go live again, I promise. I know I keep saying it. It's been a crazy August. But that's all I got for you today.